All right. Any questions about living on campus or dining? Okay, so resident assistants. These are called RAs. I'm sure you've heard about them from people before. And I want to invite our RAs who are here this evening to talk to us a little bit about what they do and what you can expect from them whenever you come to campus. So let's see, Bailey, if you would like to talk first, that'd be great. You're unmuted.
So what you can expect from your RAs is they're kind of there to be a helping hand for you. On the first day, whenever you get to campus, one of the first people you'll meet is your RA. We'll take you up, we'll check you into your room. And then kind of from there on out, we're just there to be a helping hand with whether it's academics, whether it's a health priority, or just to be a friend. Some things that we do throughout the year is we host events kind of to build a community that I think really kind of brings together what Hanover means. We're huge on community, and I think that is one of the biggest things that RAs do is build that community and the trust and alliance between everybody.
Thank you, Bailey. Eli, can you talk a little bit about what the best part of being an RA is, and then talk to people about when they can become RAs? Sorry, I'm working to get him unmuted. All right, I can't get Eli unmuted, so Bailey, we'll have you answer those questions too while I work on getting Eli fixed.
Yeah, okay. So the best part for me about being an RA is just the interactions with the residents. Like I mentioned before, those events are really some of the best times. If you ever go to those, which I strongly encourage, you get to meet your hallmates. You make some really good friends. My roommate for next year was in my hall my freshman year. So some of those events would be, I think, like movie nights, game nights, all kinds of different things. We add some learning aspects into some nights, maybe on like healthy living and whatnot. So that for me is the best part of being an RA. And as far as whenever you can become an RA, you have to be at least a sophomore so that you can be an RA, just so that you've had the experiences of living on campus and whatnot. So.
All right. And then still cannot get Eli unmuted. I don't know what's going on with that. I do have a question that came in that was from a student asking if they arrive early due to sports, will the RAs be there? Yes, the RAs actually move in pretty much before everyone else, with the exception of some football players. But we will have some RAs on campus starting as early as like the 12th of August. So when you do arrive, we will have staff on site ready to help you move in and get settled in. All right. So here are pictures of our 4 first-year residence halls that we will be utilizing next year. The first, and it's in the bottom left corner there, is Ide Hall. It is currently under renovation at this very moment, and it is going to be hopefully open and ready for you in August. That is the plan, but certainly with the COVID-19 pandemic, some things are going a little bit slower in terms of how many people can be working in the building, and some of the companies that are building and getting our equipment ready for us have slowed down due to the pandemic as well. But the goal is to have it open in August, and if not, when you arrive very shortly after. So that is one of the options you can have. It will house men and women, all first year students. And the next one is Catherine Parker, and that's the next one there, next to Ide. And that is also men and women, all first year students. And that building is nearly identical to the one right next to it. You can see it is very similar looking, with the exception of the middle. It's just shaped a little different. But it is also, that's Wiley, and it is going to be mixed with upper class students. So those are quite similar, but it is also mixed men and women. And then the last one is Blythe Hall there on the top right. It's a little bit smaller than the other buildings. It houses about 40 students, and it is air conditioned, as will Ide be. But it primarily houses students who might have a medical need, asthma, or severe allergies that need air conditioning. And so with Ide Hall being online in the fall and air conditioned, we will likely have some folks with medical accommodations living there too, but we want to ensure that in case it's not quite ready on the first day, that we have an air conditioned space for those who need it. All right, I have a few questions that came in. Make sure I catch them all. All right. Are there events planned during the week you move in? So you move in a week before everybody else does. Are there events planned? Oh my goodness, are there events planned? There are events planned every day, day in, day out. You will not be bored, and you will meet absolutely everybody in your first year class. So there's a lot to do, which is really great. Another question was, what is the selection process like for the halls? When you attend your LEAP, which is going to be online, of course, this year. When you attend your LEAP, right afterwards, you will be getting information from admission with a link to fill out your housing preference form. And so there's and we'll talk about that form here in a minute. But you'll fill that out, and then we will do room assignments and send those to you, and you will get those. Let me check my dates. I want to make sure I give you accurate dates. But you will get your housing information no later than the 22nd of June. But the housing forms are due on June 15th, and we'll talk about those here in a minute again. And then another question, which one did I say was air conditioned again? So Blythe is air conditioned, currently air conditioned. Ide will be air conditioned as part of the renovation. And then another question, if you're an athlete, when will you know if you move in early? You will get that information from your coach as we get closer, but football starts moving in first, and they're usually about the second or so week of August, and then people start coming in a little bit after that. Every sport moves in on a different day, and so your coach will let you know. And then you will move into your building. This is another question someone had. You will move into your building, into your residence hall, the first day of what we call August Experience. And August Experience is a week-long orientation. And this coming year, it's going to take place on, you will move in on the 30th of August, August 30th. And you'll have a week of orientation, and then your first day of classes is on Labor Day, September 7th. Another question I had about Wiley, is it mainly an athlete dorm? No, not necessarily. It changes every year. It has been different every year I have ever been at Hanover, and I was a student at Hanover myself, and it very much changes every year. We find that some athletes do like to live there because it's a little bit closer to the stadium or a little bit closer to Horner Center, but Blythe is right by Horner Center. Donner and Ide are very close to Horner Center. I mean, everything's so close that it really doesn't matter too much, but this year we did have quite a few athletes there, but that's not to say that it wouldn't completely change next year. All right, and then I had another question. Does every residence have communal bathrooms, or are there some shared/private ones? So for your first year, you will be in a building that has the restroom that people share on the floor. Ide Hall with its new renovated restroom will be a little bit more private. They're going to have floor to ceiling doors on the showers and on the bathroom stalls. And so that will be a little more private. And then, so that's helpful. But yes, for your first year, you are in more of the communal bathrooms. And then which halls are co-ed? So all of them next year will be co-ed. However, each floor is single sex. So it might be women on the first floor, men on the second floor, etc. A question about what renovations are being done on IDE. There's some really great stuff. It's going to have full AC and heat renovation. So those will be controlled within each room. Brand new flooring, brand new paint, brand new bathrooms. They're expanding the bathrooms to make them bigger and renovating those fully. The laundry room used to be in the basement, and they're bringing that up to the first floor, and the entire first floor will be ADA accessible. So if we have students in wheelchairs or other mobility issues, we have a fully ADA accessible floor, which is great. And another question, is Donner a fifth option for first year housing? So Donner Hall is our next hall to be renovated. So it is connected to IDE, and IDE was offline this year for renovation, and then Donner will be offline all next year for renovation. And then the question is, where will people go if IDE is not done in August? And so then that goes back to that Donner question. Let's say there's a week or two where IDE is not complete, you would move into Donner, and then we would help you move all of your things over to IDE. And we are hoping that doesn't happen, and we are doing our very, very best to have that not happen. So the goal, and what I really hope and I think will happen, is that you'll move directly into IDE if you are housed there. But we just want to make sure we have all of our contingency plans in place, because we know right now there is no planning that we can do that can prepare us for things. So another quick question, how expensive is laundry? The really amazing thing about laundry at Hanover is that you pay for it as part of your student fees. And so when you come, all of the machines are set to free. So you can do as much laundry as you want, and it is all included. All right, I'm gonna try to unmute Eli again, see if we can finally get Eli working. Aha, Eli, are you there? Eli, we hear you, are you there? Okay, so I got him unmuted, but then we could hear whatever it is he's doing. Okay, so once he pays attention again, we'll get him back on the line. Okay. I see a bunch of questions came in. I'm gonna go on to my next slide, and we will get to your questions, I promise. All right, so this is what the first year housing form looks like. So once you attend your LEAP, again, you will get a link to fill out this form. This is a couple screenshots, so it's a web page, and it's housed in the same location where you applied for Hanover. So you have like a portal, a student portal, where you can see whether you were admitted and check in with your admission counselor and things like that. This will be in that same place. You'll give us basic information about yourself. You'll give us your preferences. So you'll preference first, second, and third choices for your building. And then you'll answer a lot of questions that are based on preferences. So the type of person you're hoping to live with, the type of person you are, so we can find you the right match. And I'll show you on the next page what some of those might look like. So I keep my room messy, average, or neat. I'm quiet, social, studious, or very outgoing, things like that. And so we're going to take all of that information that you share with us. And if you have not selected a roommate, then we will help you find one using this information. And we think that that's a really helpful way for us to help you get matched with someone who might be compatible. We know we will never find the perfect roommate. There's no such thing, as we all know, none of us are perfect. But we hope we find somebody that you can live well with. And we're not looking to find your best friend, though you might make a best friend. But we think that this works out pretty well, and we've had good experiences using this. I'm going to answer a couple more questions that came up. Is IDE co-ed? Yes, IDE will be co-ed next year by floor again. So first floor might be women, second floor might be men, etc. Can we have a fridge or microwave in our room? Yes, you can. You can have one fridge and one microwave in each room. And so we do that because we want to make sure that we don't overload our electrical circuits. But you can have a fridge up to a certain size and a microwave up to a certain wattage in your room. And we will send you what those sizes are whenever, after you do your leap, you'll get an email from me that has information about what you should bring and what you should not bring, and it has the sizes included in that. How much are parking passes? I don't want to say with certainty, so let me see if Eli, I think we can get Eli on this time. Let me see if I can get Eli on here, and he can hopefully share more about parking passes because he has probably purchased one this year. All right, Eli, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Yay, Eli!
Sorry, everybody. We've had some technical difficulties. But regarding parking passes, it's generally thought that freshmen should keep their car off campus for the first couple weeks of school just so they get acquainted. But after that, and whenever you feel comfortable, passes are $75, and that covers you for the whole year. So that's the cost of passes.
Thank you, Eli. I'm going to leave you unmuted so we don't break it again. So just realize you're on, okay?
Sounds good.
Great. Okay, so what do the rooms come with? What does each room have? Let's see. I'm going to see if Bailey is on, if she wants to try to remember what all comes in a room. Bailey? You there, Bailey?
Yep.
Okay.
So each room, there will be 2 people living in that room. You will have 2 desks and with chairs in each, and then you'll have 2 beds. Lofting equipment for those beds are not guaranteed. It kind of depends on how much we have, because we don't have lofting equipment for every single bed. And we know that not every person's going to loft their bed, but that's something that you'll find on your first day on campus, as well as you'll have 2 wardrobes, so like a little closet, and then you'll also have 2 dressers with 3 drawers that are actually pretty good in size, so you can store a lot in those.
Thank you. All right, a question, this kind of goes with the fridge question a minute ago. It says, can you have a mini fridge and a mini freezer? Yes, if they're connected. So the kind that there are 2 doors on it, it's still small, it's miniature, but the top door is a freezer and the bottom one's a fridge. Yes, totally okay, you can have one of those. All right, and then another question is, what happens if you know who you want to room with? And do you need to fill out the form if you know who you want to room with? Yes, 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 yes. So if you know who you want to room with, you will fill out the form, because sometimes things happen and we want to make sure we have all of this information on file. And one of the questions on the form is, do you have a roommate in mind? If so, who? And we ask that you fill it out first and last name so we know that it's the right person. And then the other person who you're wanting to live with needs to fill out the form and put your name. So that's how we double check that roommate requests are compatible and that both people are agreeing to it. So definitely fill out the form and make sure you write that name down. We're going to talk more about roommate matching and information in just a minute. There's a question, are fridges or microwaves provided? No, but most of the buildings do have a common kitchen that you can utilize. And so there's a fridge and a microwave in those kitchens, so you can use that if you don't want to bring your own. And then another question, is it 1 roommate maximum, or is it possible to live with more people than that? It is possible. It is not probable that we will need to do triples or quads next year, but it's possible. Right now, it's not looking like we're going to need to do that. And so for now, just think about finding 1 roommate. And then question about when you will find out who your roommate is. If we are matching you up, you'll find out who your roommate is when we send your room assignment at the beginning of June. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and keep going with our slides. Housing accommodations. Oh, actually, let me stop before I do that. I got some questions that actually have to do with the form, so I'm gonna answer that really quick. What is the deadline for the forms? The form deadline I know I just said this a minute ago, but I want to triple check myself. Monday, June 15th. Monday, June 15th is the deadline for the housing preference form and roommate request. And then for the meal plan options, don't worry about that yet. We'll send you more information about that later. But that is something that you will do online at a later date. But the form, the residence hall form, you will get an email after you attend your LEAP with a link to go in, log in, and complete that form. So if you have not signed up for a LEAP yet, now is the time to do that. Another question, is it less expensive to have more roommates? No, it is not, because the rooms that have more roommates are bigger rooms. So still about the same amount of square footage per person. And then can you request lofts for your room? You don't request them. On your move-in day, we have a room in the basement of your building that is full of lofting equipment. You go down, you check it out, and you build your loft. It's very easy. And then we'll also have athletes around to help you set those up if you need some help. Can you have a Keurig in your room? Yes, you can. As long as it has an automatic off switch, you can have coffee makers in your room. And then one more question, what are the dimensions of the rooms? They vary a lot. So dimensions of rooms, we will try to send those out to you, and you will also have a chance this summer, pending that everything goes well in the world, have a chance to come to campus and actually look at your specific room so you can measure it when you come to campus. All right. I'm going to go ahead and start talking about housing accommodations. So what is a housing accommodation? If you are someone who needs to be housed with something special or a special consideration in mind, so maybe you have a mobility impairment, maybe you need air conditioning because you have severe asthma, things like that, that is what is called a housing accommodation. Anyone can get it if you have documentation from your health provider or mental health provider in the form of a letter, and you will request it online as there's a link in the housing form. So when you are filling out your housing form, you will have a place where you click, upload your documentation, and request what it is you're needing. So that's what housing accommodations are. If there are any questions about that, you can feel free to add that to the chat and I will answer those. All right, move on. Roommates. So we started talking about this. I'll talk about it some more. Roommate matches can be done in lots of different ways. So coming up pretty soon, we're probably going to wait until after May 1st once we know more people who have deposited. But we're going to have a virtual roommate search night. You'll sign up for it. Tell me a little bit about what you're looking for. And then I'm going to put you in different chat rooms. They won't actually be chat rooms. You'll be able to see each other on Zoom, but there'll be little rooms where you can get to know each other better and see if you can find a good roommate that way. Another option is if you're an athlete, your coach might want you to live with a teammate. You don't have to do that, but sometimes they'll encourage you to because you have the same schedules. You might want to walk to practice together, hold each other accountable to those things. That is completely up to you, though. You don't have to do it, but if they recommend someone, get to know them, see if that might be a good match. Two ways you can also do it is on the Hanover College app, which once you attend your LEAP, you're going to get a username and password for Hanover email, and that's how you will get on the app as well. And that's downloadable through the iTunes App Store or Android Store, that sort of thing. But you just look up Hanover College and we have an app. And then we also have the Hanover College Class of 2024 Facebook page. So if you're not a member of that, you should jump on Facebook, find the official Class of 2024 Facebook page. And there are always people on there getting to know each other, looking for roommates. And so that's a good way too. And then the other way is to let us match you using that first year housing form. And I would say it's about 50% people let us match them, 50% people find roommates. So there is no wrong way or right way to do it. Whatever feels good to you is totally fine. I've seen people who never met each other or talked to each other until the first day they moved in and they're in each other's weddings now. I've also seen best friends come to college together, and by the end of their first year, they're not best friends anymore. So really consider what it is that you're wanting out of a roommate and think about the best way you want to go about that. But there are many options here, and we'll help you walk through those as we go through the process. But again, as as you make roommate requests, they need to be mutual. So make sure that on those forms, you each put each other's name down or we can't place you together. All right, so that comes to the end of the content I have in slides. I want to open up for more questions before we sign off tonight. So if you have any questions about housing, living on campus, getting involved on campus, anything, remember we have 2 students here who can answer your questions as well. Here's a question. On the roommate form, do you both have to put down the same answers on the whole form or just the request? There is no way you'd all have the same answers. Please don't try to do the same answers. We want to be able to get to know you a little bit by the form too. Just as long as you request each other, you'll get put together as long as it's mutual. And I got asked if I could go back to the roommate form to review some of the questions. Absolutely. This is only a small sampling of the questions, very, very, very small sampling. So know that there's a lot more that we will ask, but here are some examples you can review. A question about signing up for the Hanover College app. You can do it now. I think, actually, let me see if DJ is on the line and see if DJ can share some more.
DJ, yes, I am here. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, this is DJ Walsh, so I'll let you introduce yourself and you can talk about the app a little more.
Hi everyone, I'm DJ. I'm one of the associate directors here in Student Life, and one of my responsibilities is working with the Hanover College mobile app. So we do have a user experience for non-students, but once students come to Hanover College, it is integrated with our universal login through a single sign-on option. And so whenever you come to Hanover as a student, if you use your credentials that you would use to log into your email, it will go ahead and move you into a pre-populated account that has some information about you. So yes, you can use the mobile app. There might be a few features that you would not have access to, but I do think that most of the ones that are accessible via what we have in our guest portals might be relevant.
Yes, and I think once you are registered for your LEAP, a few days before it begins, you will get an email that has your username and password for Hanover for that single sign-on. And so once you receive that, then you'll be able to do the more robust version of the Hanover app. I got a question, is it first come, first serve for housing based off what LEAP day you sign up for? No, not necessarily. Right now, I do know that anyone who deposits before May 1st, which is all of you all, are entered into a drawing for one of 12 first choice housing selections. So that's very exciting. So be excited, you deposited and you get an opportunity to be drawn for that. But otherwise, we try to spread out the number of first choices among all the LEAPs because we know not everyone can do, let's say, this Friday's LEAP. Like some people are going to need to do, this Saturday's LEAP. Sorry if I confused anybody. This Saturday. We know that changes for people. So we try to spread it out, make it as fair as possible. But certainly, if you don't get your form in by the deadline, that would be not a good thing. All right, some more questions here. Are there places to store your bike around your residence hall? Bailey, do you want to talk about bikes?
Yes, I can. So bikes, we have bike racks by every residence hall, and there's a bike rack at almost, if not every academic building. So there's definitely places that you can store your bike. One thing that I would suggest is making sure that you have a lock for your bike so that you can lock it up whenever you're not using it, just so that it doesn't walk off.
Awesome, thank you. And then let's see, Eli, there's a question here also about best things to bring to college, and are power strips allowed? Can you answer that?
Yeah, I can definitely answer that. Some of the things that I would recommend bringing to college, I would recommend, like, if you have a certain hobby, whether it's like gaming or painting, I would bring that. That's just something that you can do to decompress. I would make sure you have a mini fridge as well, maybe a mattress pad, some additional form of storage, whether that's like a shoe rack or something to hang up under your bed or in your closet, just those type of things. Be resourceful. So if you've got like a cubby system going on, I would definitely bring a futon or like a small 2-seat couch between you and your roommate, chairs, like comfy chairs, a rug. Power strips are definitely allowed. I would, again, don't overload the power strips. You might need to bring 2, but just those kind of things.
Great, thanks, Eli. All right, a question about cars on campus for the first 6 weeks. We do say that first-year students should not bring their cars for the first 6 weeks. However, if you need an exception to that policy, exceptions are granted for things like needing to get home for doctor's appointments, or if you're an athlete, let's say golf or swimming, where you have your practices off campus. You just have to ask our director of campus safety, Jim Hickerson, and he will grant exemptions to that policy in the first 6 weeks if needed. Okay. When can we fill out the roommate request? It is not open quite right now, but you will get that message as soon as you attend your LEAP to go in and fill everything out. And there's a question about the guest policy. Let's see, Bailey, would you like to talk about kind of how we handle guests on campus?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. Guests are allowed. One thing we ask that if you have a guest in your residence hall is that you escort them around, just so that all of the other residents know that that person is supposed to be there. They're allowed to be there. They're not there to break the rules or harm somebody. So that's one thing that we ask if you have residents on campus.
Great. The other thing is we do ask that if you're having a guest, your roommate needs to approve of that guest. So if your roommate says, no, not tonight, not this weekend, then the answer is no. So it needs to be approved by your roommate. All right, is there a freshman hall that is considered the best? Bailey, you want to answer that too?
I would say that Donner is the best, but that one's obviously going to be offline. Honestly, probably for next year, IDE's going to be the best, seeing as it's going to be newly renovated and have all those upgrades. Otherwise, they're all really about the same. Like the sizes of the rooms are the same. The bathrooms are set up the same. So you're going to get about the same thing with all the different halls.
Great. Thank you. Someone asked again, which housing options have air conditioning and which do not? So IDE and Blythe will have air conditioning. And then here's where it gets a little weird. KP and Wiley, some rooms will have portable air conditioning units. We have added as many as we can without overloading the electrical system in the building. So you can't bring your own portable AC, but we have some that have it. So if you don't get in IDE or Blythe, it is still possible that you'll have air conditioning. It's just hard to know because the rooms, it's kind of at random what the physical plant could add in the rooms without overloading the electrical system. So it's kind of wild. You never know. It's a grab bag. All right. So what's the process for picking who gets into which building? For example, if a lot of people request IDE as their first choice, how do I choose who gets in there? So the first thing that we will do is the 12 people who get drawn as their first choice housing in our drawing that's coming up, those people will be housed in their first choice first. And then I'm probably going to go by deposit date next. So the earlier you deposited, that is probably what I'll do next. And then after that, it'll sort of be at random based on the number of spaces I have left. I'll pick people from various LEAPs. All right, what happens at LEAP? So it used to be when it was on campus, how it should be and how we wish it were. We did all sorts of things, but at these virtual LEAPs, you will primarily be in an advising session with an advisor who helps you learn a lot more about the academic environment on campus and what classes you're going to need to take. And then you will meet some of those people who are in your advising group. but then you'll also preference the courses that you're interested in taking for the fall. And that's really all that's going to happen at the LEAP. We do have something we're working on, hopefully that, you know, the stay-at-home orders are lifted, but in June, towards the end of June, it is our goal to have you all come onto campus for the portions that you would have done if LEAP were on campus. So looking at the residence halls, meeting people from the student life staff, meeting other students, taking tours, things like that. And so we're hopeful that that will happen in June, but we'll get more information out on that once we can firm up that plan. Let's see. Question about the parking pass. Is it $75 each year? Yes, it is $75 each year. But let me tell you, that is incredibly affordable compared to other schools. I went to IU for 2 years and I paid $300 a semester. So your friend's going to IU, $300 a semester. Here, $75 a year. I think we'll take that. Let's see. When is the virtual roommate night? I haven't set that yet. It's probably going to be sometime in the first week of May. Can guests stay the night? Yes, they can. Again, only if your roommate approves it. All right, and then once you're allowed to have cars on campus, where do you park? Is there an assigned lot? All right, Eli, can you answer that one?
Yeah, I can probably answer from experience, seeing that I've had a few parking tickets. For the first year, you'll be in the freshman parking lot. On some weekends that we have sporting events, you'll be asked to move from the freshman parking lot, and then you can park in the designated lots. But there are the freshman lot's huge. You'll be able to get your car there. And then you can always like turn your flashers on if you're unloading groceries or you're just going to be there for a second. But it's really no further than like a 3 or 4 minute walk. So there's not going to be like any discrepancy. You'll be fine, even when it's cold or rainy.
Yeah, and if you do park in the first year lot and it's late at night and you're nervous, Campus Safety is more than willing to do a campus safety escort, pick you up and
Absolutely
drive you to your building. I had a question about curfew for school nights, and is there a curfew? No, there is not, but there's really not much going on around campus past a certain time, so you're probably going to be in your building at a certain point anyway. But how do I handle it if the roommates preference different housing choices first? I would suggest that you talk to your roommate about that and really come to an agreement. If you don't, then I just have to kind of choose, and that can be pretty tough. And more likely than not, I'll probably go with the choice of the person who deposited before the other one, because I don't really have a whole lot of other information to go off of. Are the parking spots numbered? No, they used to be, and there might still be numbers out there, but that might just be for football game days. But there's no assigned parking spot, so it's first come, first serve.
Lindsay, can I talk about something real quick?
Yeah.
Something that's really cool is the amount of opportunities we have on campus. And so if you're someone like me who likes to work on campus, I'm the director of event staff. And so if you just want to shoot me an email, if you're looking for like a role on campus, we can definitely get you scheduled. There's all types of different roles on campus. You can work at the library, you can work at the underground, you can work sporting events, which is what I like to do. It's really fun. It's a way to make some additional income on campus. So don't be worried about like job opportunities. There's definitely more than enough to go around. And that's something that's super nice that we offer on campus as a small school.
Yes, absolutely. And we are required on campus as various employers that we save spots for first year students to work. So we don't give all the jobs away yet. In August, a lot of jobs will be posted and you can apply for those, and we save spots for first year students. What time do classes start in the morning? The first classes start at 8 a.m. And typically are done by, I think 3:50 is the last Monday, Wednesday, Friday class. But you may not get an 8 a.m. Just kind of depends on how the classes go, but you may or may not get an 8 a.m. But that would be the earliest, would be starting right at 8. Can you rush and move into a house freshman year? So this is having to do with Greek life. Our first semester, you cannot join a fraternity or sorority. You certainly are encouraged and should get to know people in the fraternities and sororities, see which ones you're interested in, which ones feel like the right place for you. And then in January, you join a house if you want to. And then you can't move into the house until the beginning of your sophomore year. We do that for various reasons, but it seems to work pretty well for our campus. Question was, what was Eli's email address so you can get a campus job? So he oversees the event staff, so that's going to be with athletics and the events that they host. Eli, do you want to give them your email address real quick?
Yeah, so my email address, it's COPNER and then the letter E, then the numbers 21 at hanover.edu. And so I'll say that one more time. COPNER, the letter E, then the numbers 21 at hanover.edu. And so if you just want to shoot me an email at any point, I'll get back to those when I can, but there are definitely opportunities available.
Awesome. Thanks, Eli. So how many hours do people typically work? I would say I know students who work like 3 hours on campus a week, all the way up to 20. 20 is a lot, and most students don't do that, but there are some who do. All right, can closets be modified, like the racks and the shelves? So the closets themselves, in most places, are wardrobe style, and so they would be standalone wardrobes, and so they can't really be modified much. Certainly you can put in like types of little shelves you can buy at Bed Bath & Beyond and Target and things like that, but we ask that you don't make any modifications that are still able to be seen whenever you leave at the end of the year. And the question, if we're able to come to campus for orientation, what types of things would we be doing? We would be doing a lot of things. There would probably be an opportunity for Q&A with students, with faculty and staff on campus. We would do tours. You would get to see your room you'll be living in next year. There's a multitude of things that we would hope that we would be able to do with you on campus, if we're able to get you on campus this summer, which is our big goal, and I think it'll probably happen. All right, with on-campus jobs, if you're doing it to pay off a loan, does it pay off faster the more hours you work, or is it more of a steady pay thing? So if you're talking about work study, it truly is the more hours you work, the more money you get. So that is sort of a helpful thing to know, but you certainly don't want to work so much that you're not able to do the study part of work studied. All right. I think I have answered all the questions that have come in, but if you've got more, I'll give it about 10 more seconds. See if there are more to answer. What computers do students typically have? It is totally dependent on what the student wants. We don't really say any one computer is better than the other. Certainly we have some students who are in like design, art and design, and they really like using Apple computers, but really anything is fine. And our IT department services both Apple and PC. So there's really, whatever you feel comfortable with is probably most important, so that you know you can utilize whatever system you're using. All right, questions about LEAP. There should have been emails sent out about it. So if you have not registered for a LEAP, the very best thing you can do is contact your admission counselor and pick which one you want to attend. There's quite a few coming up. So there should have been emails, but sometimes, things, depending on what emails put in and how our filters are, but contact your admission counselor, you'll get signed up. And then on your LEAP day, you will get links to a Zoom meeting similar to this. But you will learn about our academic program, the classes that you're required to take, and then you will preference which classes you want to take in the fall. And another last question I got, should we be prepared to carry a lot of textbooks and notebooks, or have things become more digitized? Let's have Bailey answer that. Should they be prepared to carry a lot of notebooks and textbooks and stuff?
So for me, I would say that kind of just depends on student learning style. There are some classes where I take notes on my computers because my professor has slides, and so I can easily add notes to the bottom of those slides and know where they came from. But like in my chemistry class, I take notes by hand, just because it's easier for me to get the math and whatnot down on paper. So I think it depends on class to class. Professors will sometimes ask you to make sure you have your textbooks with you whenever you're at class. Others do not. And I think I had one class this semester that I've taken my textbook to every class, but um, all my other classes didn't require them to be in class, but they were still really good resources outside of class. So definitely have a backpack so that you can carry things that you need. But pen and paper or computer, it just kind of depends and varies on your learning style and how the class is set up.
I had a question about would students officially register for the classes during the LEAP session? So the way we do it is you will actually preference your top 12 classes you're interested in taking, and that'll be based off of the different types of classes you're required to take. So for example, you should take a Writing 1 class, and I'll explain what this means later, but you'll list various classes that fulfill the Writing 1 requirement. And then the other requirements as well. You list the ones you're interested in based off the description. And then a team of advisors sit down in the summer, and they probably in June, and they will put a full schedule together for you. So they do that so that they make sure that you're taking the classes you need and not taking classes you don't need, and that you have a balanced schedule that's not too hard, that make sure that you're taking classes that will help you if you have a degree path in mind. So for example, if you're pre-med, they want to make sure that you're in the right pre-med courses, things like that. So you don't actually pick your specific classes on your LEAP session, but you will preference quite a few, and then they try to make your schedule based off your preferences. And then someone asked best classes to take your freshman year. I don't want to say that there's anything best. They're all so different. But I would say when you were reading the description, whatever stands out to you as something really good and really interesting, that's going to be the best class for you to take, because you want to be interested in not taking it just for the sake of it. You need to take it because it's something that you're interested in. And then the question was about advisors going through the classes you might have already taken. Yes, so that's the other part of what's really important about preferencing classes. So they'll look at what you've already taken. You need to make sure you get your transcripts sent to, if you took college classes already, get those transcripts sent to the college, and they will double check what classes you've taken and if you don't need to take something because of that. And same with AP. If you haven't had your AP scores sent to Hanover, you need to make sure you do that as well, so that we can get you credit for those classes if you're able, and then you're not retaking something that you have a credit for already. You won't get your schedule. It's probably going to be, gosh, I'm not remembering the date for sure now, but I think it's the beginning of July before you would get your schedule, because it does take them a long time to schedule every student. So just know that it won't be immediately, and they wait until every single person has done their LEAP and preference their classes before they make the schedules. Question about the camping trip that is scheduled for June. We're just waiting right now. If you are someone who had registered or hoping to register for the Outdoor Wilderness Leadership camping trip in June, we're just gonna wait. We're hoping that everything's good by then, but if it's not, we'll have to make a decision at some point. So just hold on tight, and let's all think good, healthy thoughts for our country and the world. Let's see. Preference for class session times. I believe there's a place where you can add additional preferences, but really they try to just give you a really balanced schedule. So there's no way to ensure that you will have all classes in the morning, for example. I know the first year 101 class is always in the afternoon. So certainly every first year student will have at least one class in the afternoon. And then there's a question about Ivy Tech classes transferring. Many of them transfer very, very, very well. So get the Ivy Tech transcripts sent into Hanover College as soon as possible, and they go through and they check them, and you'll get credits and classes taken care of through many of those. There are some that, if it's something we don't offer at Hanover, you wouldn't necessarily get a credit for, but if it's something that we do offer, something similar, then absolutely. I've seen quite a few students come in with many, many credits. And yeah, same for most institutions. So if it is a accredited higher education institution, state universities, Ivy Tech, all of that, they transfer in quite well. Same with dual credit. As long as there is a college transcript that you can get sent in, they will look at those and give you credit. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up. If you have other questions that pop up anytime, please feel free to email me. Again, this is Lindsay Fallstick. I'm going to go back to slide 1 so you can see how I spell my first name. And my email address is just my last name at hanover.edu, fallstick@hanover.edu. Feel free to email me any questions you have as we go along. I'm quarantined just as you all are, so I have a lot of time to answer emails and really start working on this housing thing for you all. So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to contact me and we'll be sure to get you answers as quickly as possible. And then finally, just so you all are aware, we did record this session. I started it slightly late. I realized as we were talking about RAs that I hadn't started it yet, but the majority of this session has been recorded. So if you have a friend who couldn't make it or you missed part of the session, please feel free to shoot me an email and I will send you a link to a YouTube video of the recording once I'm able to get that uploaded. So absolutely, we've got it so that folks can still see it. So again, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate you spending the last hour with us. I'm glad you can make it. We are so excited to have you all join us on campus in the fall. For those of us who are working remotely right now and aren't on campus, it just is not the same. Hanover College really is much more than the education. It is the place, it is the people, and it is the community that we develop. And my gosh, I am just so looking forward to the day we can see you all on campus, welcome you to campus, and have you become a part of our Panther family. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you all are well and healthy, and we hope we will see you in person very, very soon. So thank you and have a wonderful evening.